Afternoon, everybody. March is Endometriosis Awareness Month. Try saying that when you've had a drink. Anyway, I wanted to just run through a few things about endo. It's something I treat in clinic regularly. Every day I get women with endo issues, whether that's just menstrual issues or it's having an effect on them trying to conceive. So apologies, but I am going to be referring to a essay that I did write for my herbal medicine master's degree. So I'm going to be looking at some of my notes as we're talking about it. But I thought I'd just give you a brief guideline about what endo is and how it's described for Western medicine. And I'll do a few of these little videos so they don't get too boring. So endometriosis is named after the endometrial lining of the uterus, and it was first described in the 1920s, more fully in the 2000s, so it's taken an awful long time for it to become much more understood in Western medicine. It certainly isn't understood fully, and there was a description of how to explain endometriosis and how to understand it, is that it's like trying to nail a piece of jelly to a tree. It's impossible. So it's quite a complex disease, and it causes a massive amount of problem. The disease endometriosis develops from tissue that's found its way outside of the uterus, and that usually happens within the pelvic cavity. However, it can stick to other areas, and it can stick to organs within the pelvis. So what often happens with women when they go and have investigative surgery is they will find that their bladder is stuck to the bowel, or the uterus is stuck to something else, and that can be absolutely horrific, and so that needs to be removed. Basically, the definition of endometriosis is it's defined as the presence of functional endometrial glands and connective tissue cells that are not contained within the uterine cavity, and that is referenced with Bittencourt et al. 2010. It affects women of childbearing age, and so girls, as soon as they start their periods, can be affected by this. And so girls that have really horrible periods who are told to just put up with it, it's not acceptable anymore. So it's estrogen dependent disease, and when we're dealing with it from a Chinese medicine point of view or from a Western medicine point of view, it's very much linked in the literature alongside infertility. So when the menstrual cycle begins, the tissue responds to the hormones related to the menstrual cycle and sheds as if it were in the uterus. So therefore, if those tissues have migrated and are no longer in the uterus, then they will bleed, and what will happen is that blood it's got nowhere to go because it's not able to come out, and basically it becomes trapped, and that can then become a cause of pain. One of the potential causes for endometriosis is something called metastatic theory, in which retrograde menstrual flow causes endometrial tissue to travel via the fallopian tubes to implant elsewhere. Now, one of the things we discuss in consultations when we talk about menstrual issues is we're not keen as Chinese medicine practitioners on our clients using tampons, because the theory is the blood doesn't come out properly and can go backwards, and that's called retrograde flow, and can go back up into the uterine cavity and then move around. So we do recommend different sanitary wear or moon cups. That's not even ideal, but it's better than a tampon. So the other theories are metaplastic and induction, and these were discussed in papers back in 2010. So basically, metaplastic is where cells originating in the peritoneum change into endometrial cells, and you can have proliferation of cells, implantation, and basically tissues escape and find more favourable conditions in other areas of the body, unfortunately. Another theory is that a tissue called mesenchyme tissue, which are loose cells, and they have not yet been given their job yet. So that's the very basic form, and they can become other tissues such as blood vessels or connective tissue. And so the theory is that endometrial tissue that has been shed by the body releases a substance that causes this undifferentiated tissue to actually form into endometrial tissue. And that seems quite an interesting theory, and one that a lot of research has been done on. Symptoms can depend on the location of the disease and can include period pain, infertility, or pain when passing a stool. However, sometimes when people have diagnostics and investigations, women who have almost the tiniest amount of endometrial tissue can have excruciating, debilitating pain. Conversely, with other women who are riddled with it, who have no symptoms. So this is why it's such a complicated disease. If you have any experience with endometriosis and how Chinese medicine and acupuncture maybe has helped you, then drop me a message below and I will post up a second part to the video tomorrow. If you have any specific questions you'd like me to answer, then drop that in the chat below and I will address that. So have a nice day and I'll see you soon.